Welcome to ChronosX Secrets. In the monsoon heat of late 2000, deep within the jungle-swallowed ruins of Siem Reap, Cambodia, a 25-year-old woman stood surrounded by unexploded landmines. She was the most famous bad girl in Hollywood. She wore black leather, carried switchblades, and had just won an Academy Award. The world knew her as a rebel, a tabloid fixation, a ticking time bomb of self-destruction. But in that torrential Cambodian rain, watching barefoot orphans play on soil laced with active explosives, something inside her snapped. She wasn't looking at a movie set. She was looking into a mirror of global suffering, and she realized her entire life up to that second had been an illusion. She pulled out a journal and wrote down a single vow: she would never be the same again. This is the untold story of Angelina Jolie, not the superstar you saw on glossy magazine covers, but the woman who walked through hell, fought her own darkest demons, and rebuilt her soul on the battlefields of the human condition. To understand the mystery of Angelina Jolie, you have to go back to June 4th, 1975, in Los Angeles, California. She was born Angelina Jolie Voigt into Hollywood royalty. Her father was John Voigt, a legendary actor who would win an Oscar for Coming Home. Her mother was Marceline Bertrand, a beautiful and gentle actress. Before Angelina was even 1 year old, her father walked out on the family. Marceline was left alone to raise Angelina and her older brother, James Haven. Devastated by the betrayal, Marceline gave up her own dreams of acting to devote every second to her children. They moved from California to Palisades, New York, living on a modest budget far from the glitz of Bel Air. As a child, Angelina looked into her mother's eyes and saw deep love, but also profound sorrow. And whenever she looked at a television screen, she saw her absent father winning awards, celebrated by millions, while her mother struggled in silence. A silent rage began to brew inside the young girl, a feeling that the world was built on pretense and abandonment. In 1986, when Angelina was 11, the family moved back to Los Angeles. Marceline enrolled her in Beverly Hills High School. It was a nightmare. While her classmates arrived in sports cars wearing designer clothes, Angelina wore second-hand dark clothing. She had thick braces, large glasses, and was painfully thin. The rich kids mocked her ruthlessly. She felt completely invisible, alienated, and worthless. Then came the first twist in her young life. Instead of breaking down, 14-year-old Angelina decided to embrace the pain. She dropped out of high school, dyed her hair bright purple, moved her punk rock boyfriend into her mother's home, and began collecting custom combat knives. She started cutting herself. "I collected knives and always had certain things around," she would later confess. "For some reason, the ritual of cutting myself and feeling the pain was somehow therapeutic to me. It was a feeling of being alive." She was a teenager staring into an abyss, searching for anything real in a world that felt utterly fake. By the time she turned 16, the relationship with her punk boyfriend ended, and Angelina made a choice. She would channel her rage into the only craft her father had mastered: acting. She re-enrolled at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute, the legendary acting school where icons were forged. When she stepped on stage, directors stopped talking. She possessed a raw, terrifying intensity. She wasn't acting, she was bleeding onto the floor. She dropped her father's surname, Voigt, keeping only her middle name, Jolie. She wanted nothing to do with her father's shadow. She wanted to build her own empire or burn trying. In 1995, she landed her first major lead role in the cult cyber thriller Hackers. On set, she met British actor Johnny Lee Miller. They fell in love with a fiery, unpredictable passion. They married in March 1996. At the wedding, Angelina didn't wear a traditional white dress. She wore black rubber pants and a plain white shirt. On the back of the shirt, written in her own fresh blood drawn with a clean needle, was the name: Johnny. When reporters asked her why, she shrugged and smiled a dangerous smile. "It's your husband. You're about to marry him. You can sacrifice a little blood to make it special. Hollywood didn't know what to do with her. Was she a genius or was she insane? In 1998, the answer came. HBO cast Angelina in the biographical film Gia, the heartbreaking true story of Gia Karanji, one of the world's first supermodels who fell into severe heroin addiction and died of AIDS complications at age 26. Angelina didn't just play Gia, she consumed the role. Method acting took her to the darkest corners of her own psyche. She stayed in character between takes, refused to speak to crew members outside of Gia's mindset, and stared into the horrifying reality of self-destruction. The performance sent shockwaves through the industry. She won a Golden Globe Award. Critics declared her the most gifted actress of her generation. Then came 1999. Angelina took on the role of Lisa Rowe in Girl Interrupted, a sociopathic patient in a 1960s psychiatric hospital. Starring alongside Winona Ryder, Angelina dominated every single scene she appeared in. On March 26, 2000, at 24 years old, Angelina Jolie walked up the steps of the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles and accepted the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. She had reached the absolute peak of Hollywood success. Yet, as she held that heavy golden statuette under the blinding stage lights, a terrifying realization washed over her. She looked out at the sea of tuxedos and diamond necklaces, and she felt completely empty inside. Winning an Oscar hadn't healed her soul. The applause felt like hollow noise. And what she did next would stun the entire entertainment world. Shortly after her Oscar win, her marriage to Johnny Lee Miller ended amicably, but Angelina was spiraling. On the set of the 1999 movie Pushing 10, she had met actor Billy Bob Thornton, 20 years her senior. In May 2000, they eloped in Las Vegas. Their relationship became the most notorious tabloid obsession in modern history. They wore small glass vials around their necks, containing drops of each other's blood. They bought tomb plots together. They gave wildly uncensored interviews about their intimate lives on red carpets. The media painted Angelina as a wild, dangerous creature, a dark siren driven by eccentric impulses. But no one saw the silent shift taking place beneath the surface. In mid-2000, Angelina signed on to star as Lara Croft in the massive blockbuster Lara Croft: Tomb Raider. Production brought her to the jungles of Cambodia. Up until that moment, Angelina lived in the insular bubble of Western celebrity. When she arrived in Cambodia, she saw a country shattered by the brutal legacy of the Khmer Rouge genocide and decades of war. She saw thousands of innocent civilians who had lost limbs to unexploded landmines. She saw families living in extreme poverty, yet holding on to their dignity with overwhelming grace. For the first time in her life, Angelina's focus shifted away from her own internal pain. She sat on dirt floors in tiny villages, listening to mothers who had lost their entire families. She realized that her teenage angst and Hollywood drama were completely insignificant compared to the real struggle for human survival unfolding across the globe. "I realized how ignorant I was," she later admitted. "I knew I had to learn, and I knew I had to do something." When filming wrapped, she didn't fly back to a luxury resort. She contacted the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. She asked a simple question: where are the places? Sierra Leone was recovering from a brutal civil war, known for child soldiers and unspeakable atrocities. UN officials warned her that it was dangerous, hot, and emotionally shattering. She insisted on paying for all her own travel expenses and sleeping in the same conditions as field workers. She walked through muddy refugee camps, holding the hands of orphaned children, listening to survivors tell stories of unbearable trauma. She didn't bring cameras or a publicity team. She brought a notebook and wrote down every single detail. On August 27, 2001, at the UN headquarters in Geneva, Angelina Jolie was officially named a UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador. The Hollywood bad girl had found her life's true calling. While the tabloids were still obsessing over her marriage to Billy Bob Thornton, Angelina was quietly making trips to Cambodia. In November 2001, she visited an orphanage in Battambang. There, a 7-month-old baby boy was lying in a plastic crib. His name was Rath Vabol. When Angelina reached into the crib and held him, the baby opened his eyes and smiled. He didn't cry. In that quiet room, Angelina burst into tears. She knew instantly that this was her son. In March 2002, she officially adopted him and renamed him Maddox Jolie. Holding Maddox in her arms transformed her completely. She realized she couldn't stay in a volatile, eccentric marriage anymore. She needed stability for her child. In June 2002, she separated from Billy Bob Thornton. The wild, blood-vile era was over. A single mother was born. Angelina poured her heart into her new life. She bought a massive tract of land in the Siem Reap region of Cambodia, setting up a conservation project to protect endangered wildlife and clear remaining landmines. It was later named the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation. She continued her work with the UN, traveling to refugee camps in Pakistan, Ecuador, Sudan, and Afghanistan. She donated millions of dollars of her own money directly to frontline refugee aid. Then came May 2004. Angelina signed on to star in an action comedy film titled Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Her co-star was one of the most famous men on earth, Brad Pitt. At the time, Brad Pitt was married to Friends star Jennifer Aniston, Hollywood's golden couple. On the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the chemistry between Angelina and Brad was palpable. They played two bored assassins secretly married to each other, trying to kill one another while hiding their true identities. As cameras rolled, fiction began to bleed into reality. Because of the film, we were brought together to do all these crazy things, Angelina later reflected. I think we found this strange friendship and partnership that just suddenly happened. It took until the end of the shoot for us to realize that it might mean something more. When news broke in early 2005 that Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston were divorcing, a media firestorm exploded across the globe. The press divided the world into two camps, Team Aniston and Team Jolie. Paparazzi chased Angelina's every move. She was labeled a homewrecker, a villain, a temptress. Yet, behind the media circus, something profound was occurring. Brad Pitt didn't just fall in love with Angelina, he fell in love with her mission. He saw her feeding orphans in war zones, advocating before world leaders, and raising Maddox with unconditional devotion. In July 2005, Angelina traveled to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and adopted a 6-month-old baby girl named Zahara Marley. Brad accompanied her. Soon after, Brad formally adopted Maddox and Zahara, changing their surnames to Jolie Pitt. The media dubbed them Brangelina. They became the most scrutinized, photographed, and legendary power couple in modern pop culture history. In May 2006, wanting to give birth away from the invasive lens of Western paparazzi, Angelina and Brad flew to Swakopmund, Namibia. On May 27, 2006, Angelina gave birth to their biological daughter, Shiloh Nouvelle Jolie Pitt. The world went mad for the first photo of the newborn. Magazines engaged in a multi-million-dollar bidding war. Angelina and Brad made a brilliant, unprecedented move. They sold the rights for over $14 million and donated every single cent to UNICEF and charities across Africa. In March 2007, they adopted 3-year-old Pax Thien from an orphanage in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And in July 2008, at a seaside hospital in Nice, France, Angelina gave birth to twins, Knox Léon and Vivian Marceline. Once again, they sold the photo rights for $14 million and poured the entire fortune into the Jolie Pitt Foundation. They were a family of 8, a rainbow coalition of children from across the globe. To the world, Angelina had everything: breathtaking beauty, immense wealth, Oscar recognition, a handsome husband, and a beautiful family. But in the quiet shadows of 2007, a devastating tragedy struck that would shatter her core. Her mother, Marceline Bertrand, lost her brave 8-year battle with ovarian and breast cancer on January 27, 2007, at the age of 56. Marceline was Angelina's anchor, her moral compass, her protector. Her death devastated Angelina beyond words. As Angelina grieved, she began looking into her family's medical history. The findings were terrifying. Cancer had stolen her mother, her grandmother, and her aunt. Angelina took a genetic blood test. The results came back like a death sentence. She carried a mutation in the BRCA1 gene. Doctors estimated that because of this genetic fault, Angelina had an 87% chance of developing breast cancer and a 50% chance of developing ovarian cancer. It wasn't a question of if cancer would strike, it was a question of when. She looked at her 6 young children. She remembered watching her mother wither away in a hospital bed, dying far too young. She swore that her own children would never have to watch her suffer the same fate. She made a decision that required immense physical and psychological courage. In secret, starting in February 2013, Angelina underwent a preventive double mastectomy, a complex surgical procedure to remove her breast tissue, followed by reconstruction. 2 years later, in 2015, she underwent further surgery to remove her ovaries and fallopian tubes. She had undergone major life-altering surgeries while under intense media scrutiny, keeping it entirely hidden from the public until she was ready. On May 14, 2013, an op-ed titled "My Medical Choice" appeared in the New York Times. Written by Angelina herself, it revealed her surgeries to the world. She spoke openly about her fears, her body, and her love for her children. "I can tell my children that they don't need to fear they will lose me to breast cancer," she wrote. "On a personal note, I do not feel any less of a woman. I feel empowered that I made a strong choice that in no way diminishes my femininity." The article caused what medical professionals termed the Angelina Effect. Around the world, genetic testing for BRCA mutations skyrocketed by over 100%. Thousands of women went to see their doctors, took tests, caught early-stage cancers, and saved their own lives. By sharing her deepest vulnerability, Angelina Jolie saved countless lives. As her personal life underwent profound trials, her artistic path took a dramatic turn. She was no longer content simply standing in front of the camera. She wanted to tell stories that mattered. In 2011, she made her feature directorial debut with In the Land of Blood and Honey, a harrowing love story set during the Bosnian War. She wrote the script herself, casting local actors who had lived through the conflict. In 2014, she directed Unbroken, the epic true story of Louis Zamperini, an Olympic runner who survived a plane crash in World War II, spent 47 days adrift at sea, and endured years in Japanese prisoner of war camps. The film became a massive box office hit, earning 3 Academy Award nominations. That same year, she starred in Disney's Maleficent. Playing the iconic dark fairy, Angelina gave the character tragic depth, transforming a classic villain into a hero of healing and survival. The film grossed over $750 million worldwide. In April 2012, after more than a decade of dedicated fieldwork, the UN elevated her from Goodwill Ambassador to Special Envoy for UNHCR. She was no longer just a visiting celebrity. She was representing the UN High Commissioner at the diplomatic level, meeting with heads of state, prime ministers, and foreign ministers to demand policy changes for displaced populations. She traveled to West Mosul in Iraq shortly after its liberation from ISIS. She walked through bombed-out neighborhoods, wading through rubble to talk to families who had lost everything. "This is the worst devastation I have seen in all my years with UNHCR," she said, standing in front of shattered concrete. "These people have lost everything, yet they are happy because their children are safe." She was an ambassador of hope. And in August 2014, after nearly 10 years together, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt officially married in a private ceremony at their estate, Chateau Miraval, in the south of France. Their children helped write their vows and drew colorful artwork all over Angelina's silk wedding dress and veil. It looked like the ultimate fairy tale ending. But fairy tales, as Angelina knew all too well, often hide dark secrets. Behind the polished images of red carpet premieres and happy family vacations, strain was building inside the Jolie-Pitt marriage. In September 2016, a dramatic incident occurred aboard a private jet carrying the family from France to Los Angeles. An intense verbal and physical altercation broke out between Brad Pitt, Angelina, and their children. Days later, on September 19, 2016, Angelina Jolie filed for divorce. The news rocked the entertainment industry. The world's most celebrated couple collapsed in an instant. What followed was a bitter, multi-year legal war over child custody, business assets, and the ownership of their French winery. The media once again seized on the narrative, picking sides and analyzing every legal filing. For Angelina, the split was devastating. She stepped away from major acting roles for years, focusing entirely on protecting her children and guiding them through the trauma of public divorce. She moved into the historic Cecil B. DeMille estate in Los Angeles, creating a secluded sanctuary for her 6 kids. "I stepped back from directing when I needed to be home more for my children," she explained in a rare interview. "We've had a few difficult years. I've been focusing on healing our family." In 2017, Angelina released her most personal directorial work yet, First, They Killed My Father, based on the memoir of Cambodian human rights activist Lung Ung. Filmed entirely in Cambodia, with a local cast speaking the Khmer language, the film depicted the horrors of the Khmer Rouge regime through the eyes of a 5-year-old child. Her son Maddox, born in Cambodia, served as an executive producer on the film. When the movie premiered in Siem Reap, the very place where Angelina had stood 17 years earlier during the filming of Tomb Raider, the audience stood and wept. Angelina had come full circle. She had taken the broken pieces of her youth, her pain, and her fame, and used them to give a voice to a nation that had adopted her heart. In December 2022, after 21 years and over 60 field missions in war zones and refugee camps across 5 continents, Angelina stepped down from her official role as UNHCR Special Envoy. She declared that she wanted to work directly with local grassroots organizations led by refugees and affected communities away from international bureaucracy. She was no longer bound by institutional rules. She was, as she had always been, an independent force of nature. In late 2024, Angelina returned to the silver screen in Pablo Larraín's biographical drama, Maria, portraying the legendary opera singer Maria Callas during her final days in Paris. To prepare for the role, Angelina spent 7 months training to sing opera, mastering breath control and vocal projection. When the film premiered at the Venice International Film Festival, the audience erupted into an 8-minute standing ovation. Critics praised it as the crowning performance of her career. Looking at Angelina Jolie today, you do not see a fragile Hollywood starlet. You see a woman who survived a troubled youth, mastered her craft, won the highest honors in cinema, walked through war zones, saved countless lives through medical advocacy, raised 6 global children as a single mother, and stood unbowed through personal storms. Her life teaches us that our past does not define us. Our scars are not marks of shame. They are proof that we survived. Angelina Jolie showed the world that true power isn't found in fame, wealth, or applause. True power is found in the courage to rebuild yourself, to stand up for those who cannot speak, and to choose love, even when the world gives you every reason to hate. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to ChronosX Secrets for more untold stories that changed the world.